Terrifier.
Sorry.
I'm gonna
Okay.
see Terrifier 3 after this.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I know I've not dipped a toe in any of those. Are they good?
So they're interesting movies. It's kind of taken by storm. And I know a little bit about it. I know it started off, I think, like Art the Clown is the monster of it, the Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy Krueger,
Mhm.
Ghostface of the, and he's kind of entered into that, zeitgeist of those, movie monsters.
Mhm.
He's like the new one that's taking storm, and like I think it started in a movie called All Hallows Eve. And I think he might have also been in a segment that the director did or something, but they did Terrifier 1, which I saw, and then I saw Terrifier 2 in theaters like a couple years ago. But the thing about them is they're very gory, and the clown's very creepy, and it's very just like overkill kind of stuff. And the first one was like everybody was like whoa, and then the second one did really well in theaters, and there was like people are leaving the theater and fainting and throwing
Yeah.
up. I went to go see it. I have a stomach for that stuff, so I was
Yeah.
fine. There is a scene, there's the bedroom scene that's very famous, that is like a very overkill, almost comical at some points, but it's very intense. It's a very but it's all done so campy that you're like, okay, so this third one, everybody's like, how are they gonna top it? And early views have been like they topped it. It's even more. Um, so it can be a little torture porny, which I'm not a big on that, but
Yeah.
it is kind of fun, and I'm curious to see what they do with this one. And it's a Christmas setting, and the other big thing is that it's doing really well, and it's an indie, kind of indie-ish film now,
Yeah.
but it's like poised to top Joker 2 because Joker 2 is doing so terrible. So everybody's making this big like, wow, Art the Clown is gonna beat the other Joker and da 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 da, and
Yeah.
everybody's like go see it and boost up because it is a smaller film with a
Yeah.
much less budget. So it's very interesting. But yeah,
That's cool. I see his, yeah, I see him. I'm seeing him everywhere, so that's crazy.
yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Activity. We're talking about movies. And I'm here with Nick Carrillo. Say hi, Nick.
Hello, everybody.
So Nick, we're in spooky season. You're doing 31 days of movies in October.
Yes,
Right.
there's different names for it. I'm calling it like 31 Days of Horror.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I've been watching a horror movie every day, which isn't too off from what I normally do. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of them up to this is on today's day 11, and that we are talking about Terrifier because I'm gonna go see Terrifier 3
Mm-hmm.
tonight. So that's gonna be my day 11.
Where
Um,
did you pick these? Did you line everything up ahead of time, or you just sort of like as you go?
no, I'm just going with the flow. Just there's been some stuff that's been coming out that I'm like, great, that movie's gonna be for that day. I kind of started making a list of movies I know I wanted to see, whether they were like older movies I know that are coming out this month, movies that have been in the back burner for me. I'm doing some rewatches as well, just because that's always fun to just kind of
Hmm.
revisit some of them. So yeah, it's
Cool.
been fun.
What are some that you've seen so far that are sticking out?
Um, so my first day, I saw it, and it came out this year. Humanist vampire seeking consenting suicidal person. Uh, yeah, long title. But it's great. It's really good. It's a great twist on the vampire genre, which I love. I'm wearing my
Hmm.
Lost Boy shirt. Um, it's very cool. It's like a coming of age story, but if that person was a vampire. And it's handled really well. It's really well done. It's a foreign film. I'm gonna look up where it's from because I want to give kudos to the people. But it's about this girl growing up in her vampire family and how they all, they drink blood. That's what they want to do. And she doesn't have the heart. She kind of got scarred early on and kind of has like PTSD from it of like, and she doesn't want to kill people, but she still drinks blood, but she just doesn't go hunt.
Hmm.
And her mom is very like upset about it. Her dad's like understanding, and it's her like, and they're like, you're gonna have to do this at some point. We can't take care of you forever. And it's her like her plan is that she's like, oh, I'll go to somebody who's suicidal and just drink their blood because they want to die anyways.
Hmm.
And it kind of becomes like it's a coming of age rom-commy slightly, very slightly. But it came out technically last year, but I think it started getting acclaims this year. But it's really fun. It's cute. I really liked it. It's really well done. It's I can't remember where it's from. Yeah, but it's a foreign film. It's great. It's wonderful. I think it's I want to say it's that's right. It's not French. It's Canadian. It's French Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's French Canadian.
Yeah, I have
But it
not heard of that at all.
yeah, it's great. It's really great. I highly recommend it. I rewatched it Alive, which is always fun. I
Hmm.
watched the new Salem's Lot on HBO Max, and it was disappointing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was sad because people were really anticipating it, and it was supposed to come out last year, and then the strikes happened. So it got pushed back, and everybody was like, when is it going to come out? And then all of a sudden, Max was like, we need something to release on our platform, so it's just going to release on Max in October. And I mean, they had an uphill battle because it's a Stephen King adaptation. The first two adaptations, the one from like the original one with James Mason, and they did a remake with Rob Lowe. They played different characters. But those were like two-part movies. They were like made for TV, and each was like an hour and a half. And this was like a slightly less than 2 hour movie, so they compacted a lot in a little time, and it just was fine. It was shot well. It was beautifully shot. It really set the tone, the way they made the town look, that like 70s feel. It was beautiful. The actors did great, but it just kind of fell flat for me. Um, I rewatched Psycho Gorman because I watched the director's new movie, Frankie Fricos. He's this director. He's great. He's part of this group out in Canada. They do these really fun movies, and Frankie Frico. I got to see a Q&A at Alamo Draft House with his new movie. It's kind of like Ghoulies Go to College meets Gremlins 2, kind of Munchies and all that stuff, like the Little Stinkers genre.
The little stinkers, yeah, the little guys.
Yeah, that's what he called it. He
Really
called it Little
funny.
Stinkers genre, and I was like, I've never heard it called that, but that's
Yeah,
exactly what it is.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It's so funny.
Um, yeah, and I watched Practical Magic on a Rooftop because I love that movie.
Aw.
Not scary, but I love it. There were some good ones. I won't go on for too long, but I'll say I saw Daddy's Head, which is a good movie. It came out this year. It's gonna be on Shutter. It's good. It's well shot. It's a lot about grief. If you like the Babadook or that movie Relic, not the Relic from the '90s, but the more recent one, Relic, where it's like dealing with grief and the monster is kind of that. You'll like it. Those aren't usually my cup of tea, but I think it was very well done. It's scary because there's jump scares, so that's solid. And then the one I really liked, the one that really stuck with me was the new Netflix movie. It's What's Inside. Have you heard of that one?
Oh yeah, yeah. Tell him he's in that. I want to see that. It looks good. It's about people. It's about people being inside of other people.
Yes, yes. I,
Okay.
I will say it's great. You're right. Um, it's good to know not too much. That's
Okay.
fine. You can say that. That's good to know. Yeah, it's a body switch
Yeah.
sci-fi horror comedy. It's got a lot of elements.
Hmm.
Um, but I would say that's about as much as you need to know. Watch it on Netflix. It's amazing. It's well shot. It's well acted. The actors are killing it. Um, the lighting is so cool. It's got that like giallo, like that Suspiria, like red and blue and then green lighting. That's just
Hmm.
beautiful. The way they do this story, I 10 out of 10. I cannot recommend it enough. It's a lot of fun. It's not scary at all, but it's just really cool, and it makes you think a lot. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'll check that one out. Um, I'm not doing. I've always wanted to do 31 days, but I'm just not there with it this year. But I've watched a couple, and there are two for sure that I watched that I've never seen before that I wanted to talk about. I did see VHS Beyond, which I
Oh
mean I
yes,
think
yes.
everybody, most people are seeing it by now, and I love VHS. I love found footage horror. The first VHS is like I'll go rewatch that tonight probably.
Mhm.
Um, but and this and the sequels have it's diminishing returns. I enjoyed certain segments of it. There's a space segment that was really like gorgeous, and I think the whole the whole thing is for that. There's like the whole thing is about extraterrestrial. It's all extraterrestrial.
The
Extraterrestrial ETs.
the
It's all
whole the
about space things.
all
Like
the
each one.
segments are oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So that's what the kind of beyond thing is it's all about like ETs. Except for one, there's one about dogs. Which they just put it in. It's fine.
All right, sure.
So that's I don't want to ruin too much. I don't want to say too much about it. That is there. So but I do have a couple issues. Like I had a lot of problems with like the monster design was not great. Um, parts of it were really fun, but I didn't like. I like monsters. I gotta like you gotta have a good monster, and the monster design was like, just not where I wanted it to be. And so Justin Long did the one of the segments. And I won't go too far into it, but it was good. I mean, it was good. The story was good, but it wasn't like if you're gonna do found footage, like I want it to, there's something very specific about the found footage genre, and it's like you go through all the whole conceit of like, okay, so there's like the camera, and then the camera falls, and the camera with the way that the angle of the camera falls catches all of this, um all the action that happens, or like it's on this person's jacket as this person runs through the woods, but it's like this Justin segment, like there's like it's all cut, it's like it's cut between different POV, so it's like all of the footage is like cut between the perpetrator and the victims, and it's like all these, and it's like it's edited, it's like heavily edited. I don't know. I mean, it feels nitpicky, but that's like my issue with that. That's like my one issue with that.
Because you're saying instead of just found footage of like one person and we're watching it, it's that and then another person, but they're using cameras. It's like two angles of found footage. You're saying kind of.
Yeah, yeah. It's like someone picked. It's like because you're supposed to pick up something, and it's like, oh, here's a tape where someone just or we found all these tapes, and here they are, sort of bulk edited together. It's like here's this found footage of interspliced uh
Hmm.
to tell a story. So that's, I mean, it's nitpicky, but I just think for like found footage, that's like half of it is, the conceit of like how do we get the camera in there?
Hmm.
Um, you know, and like how do we like lose the tape so that someone else can find it? And then also like how do we get it from just one person? How do we get everything? How do we tell the entire story from either one perspective or from one perspective and then another one? Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know. That's a super super picky, but that bothered me. um,
That I kind of get that with like because VHS is all about like you find one tape and it
mhm.
has the thing. Have you ever seen or heard of the movie called The Bay?
Yeah, yeah,
Have you seen
yeah.
it?
Um, I'm trying
It's
to think. I'm trying to think if I've seen the right one because it's in a hospital, right?
no.
No. Okay,
I
I'm
don't know.
thinking of the wrong thing.
No, because The Bay was I had never heard of it. I had an ex that like loved it. It was like her favorite horror movie, and she showed it to me. And that one was cool because it's a found footage film, but the way it's about a thing that happens in this town, and basically it's like the aftermath, and these people are talking to the reporter who like covered it, and it's like they were like, "Hey, we're gonna follow up and see what happened." So they interview the reporter again, and they're telling the story of like what happened, and the way they do it is they use footage of like people that were there, and then like body cams from police, and then like security footage, and it's like they splice all that together to tell like what happened in this town in the Bay. um and then they use like the reporter like reporting stuff, and then they interview her like now like recently, and they go like, hey, tell us what happened. So that was a cool way of how they spliced it, but that wasn't a hey, we found this tape, let's look at it. It's like we're pretending like it's a fake mockumentary. It's like a
Yeah.
yeah, mockumentary. But that was one that I saw that was like well done in the aspect of it's found footage, but we're able to splice other things. And it's really cool. It's really well done. And a lot of it is based on like actual science. They just kind of exaggerate a little bit. It's like not completely, it's not like impossible. So it's kind of spooky, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
cool.
cool. That's cool.
Hmm.
I do, yeah, I do like that. And that's, I mean, and I do love documentaries that do that. There's um, the Chris Watts documentary that has no narrator or anything. It's all body cam. That's like
Uh,
extreme. like
Which
extreme found footage. There's like it's the guy who murdered his it's one of the it's a family it's a guy who it's a real story. It's a true documentary of a real
oh, okay.
story
Oh,
of a guy
oh,
who
okay.
he killed his family. And there's it's on Netflix and it's very interesting, but it's um the entire documentary is police body cam footage and like interview like the camera in the interview thing. There's like no one speaks over it. It's just straight cams. It's really good.
Oh, wow. I've never heard
Yeah,
of that. What's it
it's
called?
spooky. It's called I think it's called like the Evil Next Door or something like that.
Oh, okay. I gotta check that out. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
The other one that I saw this weekend was this is Drew's pick and it was so good. I can't I'm not saying other people have never heard of it. I just have never heard of it. The Dungeon Master is from 1984.
I've
It's
never heard of that.
and it's supposed to be it's like technically an anthology movie because it's a bunch of different segments. It's one movie that where different segments are directed by different directors. So and it's just about like this like techie guy who like he invented this crazy computer who can talk to me. What's up, Excalibrate? And
Yeah.
Excalibrate's like, this is what. Don't forget to get flowers for your wife. And um, he like in the middle of the night, he gets like he and his girlfriend like get sucked into the computer, and then he has to like fight. So it's like they basically say it's like Tron with Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he's sucked into the computer, but then inside the computer he has to like fight this dungeon master
Mm-hmm.
to get his girlfriend back. And it is hilarious and so like I just love like early like pre 1985 like 80s movies. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something so like gorgeous and dumb about them and it's I mean dumb is not a nice word, but you know what I mean? Just like
Mm-hmm.
that early like messy practical
Mm-hmm.
effects like it was just I don't know it was just really great and it's the phrase I reject your reality and substitute my own
Yeah.
is from that movie.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So when I
I've
because
never
it's
heard of this movie.
yeah it's from so when I heard that I was like oh my God that's like that phrase because that's in my that's like in the Mythbusters
Mm-hmm.
like in the opening like the opening
Yeah.
credits and so when I heard that I was like oh my God it's from this um yeah and it's there's a whole segment where he like goes to like a rock concert and he has to like battle. I don't know. It's really not it's not like wonderful. It's not like this is a good but it's like I don't know, man. I honestly feel like if you just want to watch if you're like I want to get high and watch something,
Yeah. That sounds
this
like
is
it. Yeah.
absolutely. It's called The Dungeon. It's one of those movies also that has like three or four different titles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Oh,
why.
yes.
It's one
Yeah.
of the, I don't know why though they did. I don't, there's probably like Hollywood reasons that those things
Yeah.
happen.
They're like, how are we gonna sell this? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's called
Um,
the Dungeon, but for the most part, it's called the Dungeon Master.
the Dungeon Master. Yeah.
Okay, in 1984. That sounds amazing. But it is one story, but it was supposed to be an anthology?
So it's one story, but it's broken into like different segments. So he has like different trials and different like
Okay.
so he goes and he like beats the like cave trolls, and then the cave trolls is directed by one person. And then he's like, ah, you beat me here, but now I have to go into this. Oh no, it's a different world. And then it's like then this segment is directed by someone else. So
So it's one continuous movie, but it's okay, it's like the movie The Signal that has like it's one story, but it's each segment is directed by three different directors.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah. Signal also a great movie that is directed by three different directors, but it's one story. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's about a signal that makes everybody go not everybody, but some people go crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm gonna check that out for sure.
Yeah. I'm
The
trying to
the
think
one.
of the one, and then I have one waiting for me. Oh, and then I have Hellboy. We have Hellboy,
The new one?
the new one.
Yeah, what's it like? That one's interesting because it kind of came under the radar. Because they did the
Yeah.
original two with Guillermo del Toro.
Hmm.
Then they did the new one with David Harbour, which was I saw on a plane and I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
And then
I
there's this new one.
yeah, it's not here. I'm like I'm an outlier as far as like Hellboy. Like I'm a big Hellboy fan, and I think that I mean they're they're paranormal investigators, and he's he's like a big dude, but I think my concept and what I understand is of the character is that he's like this giant red guy, but he's also inside very like sensitive and
Hmm.
thoughtful and intelligent and like loves his friends and like when you read the comics, he's like he'll go through this huge battle, like people come at him and he's like, I don't he never wants to fight anybody. He hates
Yeah.
getting punched. And so he goes through this huge battle and everybody comes after him because he's so strong. And then he like goes to England to think, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like really sensitive and he talks to ghosts. So it's like to like if you wanted to make like for me, if I a Hellboy movie that I'd want to see would be like a really like cool, quiet indie movie about like this guy and his like thoughts and feelings and like being othered and having to like be taken, being taken, and also just like some, and that also there's just the concept of sometimes, big giant guys are seen as like tough and like
Hmm.
let me be mean to you because you can take it, and it's like
Hmm.
be nice. Why be mean to me? Be nice to
Yeah.
me. I'm
Leave
not.
me
I don't
alone.
have a problem with you. I have a
Yeah.
tail. I'm not mean.
I'm not mean. I got a big brick hand. I got a big stone hand. I've never read the graphic novel, so I didn't know that about him. The only thing I've known about him is the Guillermo del Toro ones,
Yeah.
which they kind of I get that because they kind of have the whole because he's smoking his cigars and it's Ron Perlman and he's being a badass, but they
Yeah.
do have those moments of where he likes to be alone. He has his kittens and he's like in love with Selma Blair's character.
Yeah.
And I feel like the David Harbour one was just like he's cool and he's here to fight and blah blah. But this new one, which it's called he versus the Crooked Man or something, it seems a lot more demure, a lot more
Yeah.
mindful. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
as
It's
the term
very
he had.
demure.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
this new
yeah.
one seems a lot more like what you're describing, which I'm now it makes me interested to see this one because it sounds a
Yeah.
lot more like what you've read in the books.
Yeah, and I don't, I mean, and people are not liking it, which is fine. And it probably won't, I mean, I'm not a reviewer. That's the thing
Yeah.
is I'm also not going to be like, I'm not going to be like, I'm not here to judge, but like, um, but it does kind of look a little bit more like Mike. And I mean, he is a fighter and he is kind of a badass and, he drinks with skeletons, but like, um, yeah, I just feel like this one's going to be maybe a little bit more like what I want it to be. Uh, but
Okay.
yeah. I actually read I prefer like I like the graphic novels, but I prefer like there are compilations that people that are they're like compilations of like short stories that I
Mhm.
really like, Odd Jobs and Odder Jobs that are like they get just a bunch of different authors to write short stories about him, which is kind of one of my favorite. That's kind of my favorite stuff.
Oh, that's
Um
cool. I'm
yeah.
gonna look into that too.
Yeah.
I love me a good horror graphic novel.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What else what are you looking forward to movie wise? So you're seeing Terrifier tonight?
I'm seeing Terrifier 3 tonight, which I'm very curious to, yeah, kind of recoup what we were talking about. They're very over the top gory films. Art the Clown is taking the horror scene by storm. He's gonna start entering that grouping of the, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason,
Hmm.
Leatherface,
Yeah,
Ghostface, all
right.
them. He's starting to get up there. But they're saying it tops it, so it's gonna be real insane and real intense. And I know somebody who's in this one too, which is
Oh,
crazy.
really?
The
Oh,
person I
fun.
used to do improv with, yeah, she posted about it, and I was like, oh. And the guy who plays Art the Clown is a roommate with somebody in the pit community, but I always forget, or was a roommate with somebody in the pit community that I always forget.
Oh, God. Tell me.
Huh? Tell you who?
Tell me who oh, you don't know who
Oh,
you
I can't remember. I just literally me and a friend of mine were trying to be like, who was the person that posted? Because when they first did the first one, they were like, I'm roommates with them. I don't know if I doubt that they still are. I'm sure
oh,
that person, yeah.
that's funny.
But um, yeah, I'm excited for that one. I really want to see VHS Beyond. That was one that's on my list for this this whole 31 days. That's one I'm definitely going to see. Um, and yeah, we'll see what happens with Terrifier. Oh, I want to. Uh, I'll probably rewatch Smile because Smile 2 is coming out.
Smile was good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really
Yeah.
good, and I like how they're kind of heightening with Smile 2. So I'm excited for that one. Oh, there's one that I happened on. Most of the time, it's because hard talk is like, hey, check out these films that you probably haven't heard of. But it's called Thine Ears Shall Bleed, and it's one that I looked it up, and it takes place back in the day. I can't give you exact dates, but it's when people were drive around in little carriages, and little wagons, and it's this family, and they're religious, and they hear a voice in the forest,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's God, it's God. And they're very religious. They're kind of like Quakers or something like equivalent to that, back then. And they're like, oh, it's God, so we have to go and we have to worship it. But then they start to be like, I don't think this is God, I think this is something evil, and crazy stuff starts to happen. So it's supposed to be really good and very interesting, and it sounds really interesting, so I'm gonna check. That's one of the other ones that I want to check out.
What platform is that on?
I think you have to like rent it on Prime or something
Rent
like
on
that.
Prime? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's on. Oh, and then because I saw Daddy's Head, and that's part of Shutter, and these are a lot of like Shutter originals, but IFC Center is showing like a bunch of like here stuff. There's one that I want to see. It's called Mads, and it's a foreign film. I can't remember where it's out of. But it's about like this guy goes and he gets like drugs from his usual guy, and they're like, "Oh, take this," and he takes it, and it does something to him, and it's basically, and he takes it to a party, and they're all doing this drug, and it's basically kind of like a zombieism thing. Like, not necessarily they turn into zombies, it kind of becomes something different, but it's like, what if something like zombieism or like into 28 Days Later or something, but it's caused through like a drug that everybody's snorting at a party, and it just
Uh-huh.
gets crazy, and it's all one shot.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
all
yeah,
one shot.
yeah.
Yeah. It's all a complete one shot. And it's supposed to be just like insane. But it's another one of like Shutter's originals that's coming out this month that I'm very excited about. I want to try to see it in theaters. But I don't know if I can make it out for that IFC viewing, and I think they're just doing one. But
Hmm.
I really want to see that one. That one's another one
Yeah,
that
yeah,
looks.
yeah, yeah. That's like The Serpent and the Rainbow, where
Yeah, Bill
that
Pullman.
was,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He
it was the
kind of gets
drugs
into
things.
that.
I remember I saw, because I think I saw that. I didn't see that in the theater, but I was at the theater when it was in the theater, and I got like some sort of like merch, Serpent and the Rainbow merch somehow.
Oh, really?
How did I acquire it? It might not have even been mine. It might have just been in our house. It might have been like one of my brothers.
Just
But
something that he.
it was like a little wooden coffin that
Mm,
had a like a little vial with a cork in it, and it
yeah,
with a little bit of dust inside,
yeah,
the little pixie dust that turned
yeah.
you into a zombie.
That turned you to a zombie. Yeah, poor Bill Pullman. Um. Oh, and I will say one other cool thing. Have you ever heard of the movie Blood Diner? It's a
No.
it's an '80s film. It's from 1987.
Hmm.
So it's one that I had been wanting to see, uh, and I checked it out, and it's a lot of fun. It's very campy. It's a very '80s like campy, um, gory in '80s way film. It's about these like two brothers who like their uncle is like, hey, we gotta bring back this goddess Shitar, and they like bring him, they resurrect him, and he's this brain, and he's like, you have to get all these body parts from women to put that together and then make this stew, and you gotta eventually kill a virgin and bring back Shitar, and it's they work at a diner, and they use the rest of the meat, and they're a vegetarian diner, but they use the meat to, so people are like, this fake meat's really good, but they're actually eating people. So it's got all these elements. It's
Yeah.
wacky, and it's funny because I was talking to a friend. I was like, "What's interesting about it is that there's stuff in it that, like, today you'd be like, that's a bit problematic." There's some,
Oh yeah.
classic '80s in
Yeah.
that '80s way that you're like, it was the '80s.
Yeah.
But I was telling a friend what's really interesting about this film is that it was directed by not just a woman, but a woman of color, and it was one of those things that I was reading about where, because like, you know, as it was even back then for a woman director, as it is even now, it's like, it sucks that like there aren't more, but now that there are so many great women
Yeah.
directors that are coming out or identifying women directors, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But back then it was so hard for women to direct, let alone a horror film. And a woman of color, Jackie Kong. Um, but I read about how it was kind of weird because the movie did really well in that kind of capacity in that world, And so all these execs were like, let's meet this director. And they were shocked when it was a woman because they were like, a woman directed this? And it was it's this very interesting whole like idea of like it because they were like, because a lot of the execs were great, let's make more with this dude, come on. And then they were like, what? And so it's really cool. And it made me think about how like that's one of the reasons why I love the horror and horror community because of course that was like the world where they were like, yeah, sure, let's get a woman to direct it. We don't care. Like you're and there's so many amazing horror movies that are directed by women and people of color and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. But of course, the horror community, of course, the horror genre is the one that's like, yeah, come in, come one, come all,
Yeah.
and show us what you got. And if
Yeah.
it's good, that's all we care about. And I was like, that's so cool, and that made me really like happy to hear about all that. And I was like, that's why I love this community.
Yeah. The segment that I love from VHS Beyond is directed by a
Kate,
woman as well.
is
That
it
might be, and
Katie?
it might be the one, it might be tough for you. I might,
It might
that
be
might be
tough for me
that's the, yeah, I know you have sensitivity
to which one, which thing.
to, like, but I don't want, I don't want to spoil anything
Okay, okay.
to, like there's, movies that you don't uh, being like Ad Astra and like,
Oh, space like gravity,
yeah,
like gravity. Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay. If I watch it on a small screen, I think I'll be okay.
Okay,
I
good.
think I'll be all right. Is it the one that's by Meg Flanagan's wife, Kate?
Yeah,
Kate,
yeah, I think yeah, her name is Kate something. I
Kate Segal. It's not Katie
Kate.
Segal because that's
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
Caitlin Segal,
it's
Siegel or
Kate.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not. I always want to say Katie Segal, but that's the actress from Married with Children
Yeah.
and Sons of Anarchy and Leela and Futurama. But yeah,
Yeah.
she's incredible. She's all Mike Flanagan's films and TV shows, and she's always amazing. And I know she directed a segment, and that's why I was really excited to see VHS Beyond because I want to see her segment and Justin Long's segment and everyone else's. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great.
It's good.
I can't wait. I
And
still have.
what's this weekend?
I don't know yet. I know Terrifier 3 is tonight. I think I might try to watch VHS Beyond this weekend because it's been on my brain. People are talking about it. And I don't know what I'll do. I don't know what else. I got a bunch of other ones. I want to see Blood and Black Lace, which is like one of the original like giallos, like the one that one of like the one that like really put it on the map.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one that I found called Digging Up the Marrow that was like I saw like a clip and it looked really freaky. And
Yeah,
so
I've
they were
heard
like,
about that.
yeah, it's supposed to be a really cool indie horror film that came out a while ago. But it's I think that's a found footage too, so that one looks interesting. So there's a couple. I've got a whole like list. I might watch Smile then because Smile 2 comes out next weekend.
Okay, cool.
So and then I'll see what other showings there are of the new um oh, and there's one called Red Rooms that I want to see. It's more of a thriller, but a lot of people are still putting it in the horror category, and it's
Mm.
supposed to be this woman who's obsessed with this trial, but it gets really weird, and it's supposed to be really good, and that's another
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So
And is that in theaters or is that streaming?
it was in theaters. It was playing at IFC and some other places, and I just missed it. So I might have to rent it on like Prime or something like that.
Right.
So
Yeah, same. Because I also want to see that one as well.
yeah,
Awesome. And so, all right, great. So next week we'll check in with you again and see
yeah. Did
what
you
else.
wait? Have you heard of? Did we talk about The Substance?
I still haven't seen it.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't been able to get out and see the movie.
No, that's totally that's understandable. It's a lot. The amount that I've had to go out and see is tiring.
Yeah.
But yeah, Substance great. I'll probably do a rewatch of that for the 31 days, and I'll do a rewatch of Maxine because I loved Maxine. That
Yeah,
movie was
yeah.
incredible.
And I think we talked about this, but I just, yeah, we just watched Maxine and man, oh man, that knocked me out. I loved it so much.
I
Made me
loved
so
it. It's
happy. I
it's my
love
favorite of.
X.
I know I love X. I love
Mhm.
Pearl. I think Maxine's. No, I know Maxine's my favorite. I know that's not everybody's favorite. They
Yeah.
usually like X or Pearl, but Maxine was just like I love all three of them, but that one was my favorite.
Yeah, I haven't seen Pearl yet. That's going to be on the list.
You haven't seen Pearl?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
on the
fun.
list.
You'll like it. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And we acquired an early copy of Beetlejuice, so
It's a
that
lot of
might
fun. It's
sneak
so much
into
fun.
that might sneak into my weekend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This was
Yeah.
a nice little Speed Demon style
Yeah.
movie
All the
stuff.
movies. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thanks to everybody. Thanks so much to you, Nick, for telling us about your movies.
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
Happy to.
thanks to everybody for watching. Um, Tell us in the comments what you're watching and check us on the next one. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
everybody. Bye.